I used to measure my life by the sound of other people clapping. If they smiled, I felt valuable. If they went silent, I felt invisible. And one day, without anyone meaning to hurt me, the silence became so loud, it changed my life forever. For most of my adult life, I thought I was confident. I had a steady job in marketing at a mid-sized company in Chicago. I dressed well. I spoke clearly in meetings. I said yes more often than no. People described me as dependable, easy to work with, reliable. Those words felt like oxygen. But beneath that polished surface was something I didn't talk about, a quiet hunger for approval. Not admiration, not praise, just reassurance. A nod from my boss, a quick good job from a client, a thumbs up emoji in the group chat. Every small sign of validation sent a tiny wave of relief through me. And when it didn't come, I would replay conversations in my head at night. Did I say something wrong? Was my email too short? Too long? Did they think I wasn't smart enough? Looking back, I can see it clearly now. My sense of self-worth was outsourced. It lived in other people's reactions. Psychologists call it external validation, when your self-esteem depends on feedback from outside sources. I didn't know the term at the time. I just knew that when people approved of me, I felt safe. And safety was everything. The roots of it went back further than I wanted to admit. Growing up, I was the good kid. I didn't cause trouble. I brought home decent grades. I avoided conflict. When my parents were stressed, which was often, I tried to be the easy one, the one who didn't add more problems. Approval became my survival strategy. If everyone was happy with me, nothing bad would happen. That belief followed me into adulthood. At work, I volunteered for extra projects even when I was exhausted. In friendships, I agreed with opinions I didn't fully share. In relationships, I ignored small red flags to avoid uncomfortable conversations. I thought I was being kind. But kindness without boundaries slowly turns into self-erasure. I just didn't realize it yet. The turning point didn't come all at once. It built slowly, like pressure behind the closed door. At work, a new manager joined our department. Her name was Claire. Claire was sharp, efficient, and emotionally neutral. She didn't hand out praise easily. She expected results and assumed competence. She rarely commented on small wins. To most people, she was just professional. To me, she was terrifying. In our first one-on-one meeting, she reviewed one of my campaigns. She nodded slightly and said, "This works." That was it. No great job. No enthusiastic feedback. Just, "This works." I walked back to my desk feeling oddly hollow. I refreshed my inbox 3 times that afternoon, hoping she'd follow up with more detail. She didn't. Over the next few weeks, I started working harder than ever. I stayed late to refine presentations. I triple-checked every report. I rehearsed what I would say before speaking in meetings. And every time she responded with a simple, "Okay," or "Let's move forward," I felt a strange panic. Was that enough? Was she disappointed? Was I failing? The more neutral she became, the more desperate I felt for a signal. This is the strange psychology of approval. The less you receive it, the more you chase it. I began to overextend myself. I said yes to projects outside my role. I answered emails at midnight. I took on responsibility that wasn't mine. From the outside, I looked ambitious. Inside, I was anxious. My friends noticed I was distracted. My girlfriend at the time, Megan, gently told me one evening, "You seem like you're constantly trying to prove something." I laughed it off. I just care about my work. But her words stayed with me. Trying to prove something. To who? And why? The moment that changed everything happened on a Tuesday morning. We were presenting a major proposal to a client. Months of work, countless revisions. I had led most of the strategy behind it. After the presentation, the client smiled and said, "This is solid. We'll move forward." It should have been a victory. Back in the conference room, Claire looked at me and said, "Good, that's what we needed." Then she moved on to the next agenda item. I waited for something more, a moment of recognition, a specific acknowledgement. Nothing came, and something inside me cracked. Not dramatically, not visibly, just quietly. For the first time, instead of thinking, "What did I do wrong?" a different thought appeared. Why is this never enough? I went to the restroom, locked myself in a stall, and just sat there. My heart was racing, not from failure, but from emptiness. We had succeeded. The outcome was positive. The work was strong. And yet, I felt nothing. That's when it hit me. If I only feel worthy when someone else confirms it, I will always feel unstable, because approval is unpredictable. You can't control someone else's reactions. You can't force praise. And if your identity depends on it, you are constantly at risk. In that small, quiet restroom stall, I realized something uncomfortable. I wasn't working hard because I loved the work. I was working hard because I needed to be liked. That was the major decision point. Not quitting my job, not confronting my boss, but choosing to stop measuring myself by applause. It sounds simple. It was not. The real shift began privately. The next time Claire gave short feedback, I noticed the anxiety rising, the urge to do more, to impress, to chase. But instead of reacting immediately, I paused. I asked myself, did I do my best? Not perfect, not extraordinary, just honest effort. The answer was yes. For the first time, I let that be enough. It felt unnatural, almost irresponsible. Part of me whispered, if you don't push harder, you'll fall behind. But another part said, you're tired of running. I began experimenting with small boundaries. I stopped answering non-urgent emails after 7 p.m. I declined the project that wasn't aligned with my role. In meetings, I spoke my actual opinion, even when it differed from the majority. Each time, I braced for rejection, but something surprising happened. Nothing catastrophic, no one yelled, no one demoted me, no one excluded me. In fact, in some meetings, people leaned in when I spoke honestly. It turns out, when you stop trying to be universally approved, you become more authentic. And authenticity, ironically, often earns deeper respect than approval ever did. The shift wasn't painless. Some people were confused. A colleague once joked, "You're not as yes man as you used to be." He meant it lightly, but it revealed something. My constant agreement had trained people to expect compliance. When you change, people notice. Megan, my girlfriend, noticed too. "You seem calmer," she said one evening, "like you're not performing all the time." That word again, performing. I realized how much of my life had felt like a stage. Smiling at the right time, nodding at the right time, delivering the right reaction. Chasing approval is exhausting because you're constantly scanning the room for cues. Who's pleased, who's unimpressed, who's judging. When I stopped scanning so much, I had more energy. But there was a harder consequence too. Without constant approval as fuel, I had to confront an uncomfortable question. Who am I without validation? If no one claps, do I still believe I did well? If no one agrees, do I still stand by my thoughts? That's where the real psychological work began. I started journaling at night, not about what others thought of me, but about what I thought of myself. Some entries were awkward, some were brutally honest. I realized I had built my identity around being liked, not around values. So I began defining them. Integrity, honesty, growth, calm under pressure. These became internal markers. If I acted in alignment with them, I considered the day successful, even if no one praised me. That shift from external validation to internal standards changed everything. Not instantly, but steadily. About 6 months later, something unexpected happened. Claire called me into her office. "She've noticed the change in you," she said. My old instinct kicked in. Anxiety. Was this criticism? But she continued. "You're more direct, more confident. Your ideas are sharper." She paused. "It's good." There it was. The approval I used to crave. And the strange thing, it didn't hit the same way. It felt nice, warm even, but it wasn't oxygen anymore. It was just feedback. I walked out of her office feeling steady, not euphoric, not desperate, just steady. That's when I knew the real change had already happened inside me. When approval becomes a bonus, not a necessity, you stop living on an emotional roller coaster. You start making decisions based on values, not applause. Here's what I learned, and it took me over 30 years to understand it. Approval is temporary. Self-respect is sustainable. When your self-worth depends on other people's reactions, your emotional stability is always in someone else's hands. You become reactive instead of intentional. But when you build internal validation, when you define your own standards, you gain something powerful: freedom. Freedom to disagree, freedom to rest, freedom to say no, freedom to be imperfect. This isn't about becoming cold or indifferent, it's about shifting from "do they like me?" to "did I live according to my values today?" That single shift changes decision-making. It changes relationships. It changes your mental health. You still listen to feedback, you still grow, you still care, but you're no longer chasing approval like it's the only source of worth, because it never was. Sometimes I think about that version of me, refreshing my inbox, waiting for a small sign that I mattered. I don't judge him, he was doing what he thought would keep him safe, but safety built on approval is fragile. These days, I still appreciate a compliment, I still enjoy recognition, but I don't need it to breathe. And that difference, quiet as it is, changed the direction of my life. So here's the question I'll leave you with. If the applause stopped tomorrow, if no one commented, no one praised, no one approved, would you still choose the same path? Or are you, like I was, running toward a sound that was never meant to define you?